I've got full admin rights. I've got a longer list of projects now. So all of these were in the database. Jonathan could not see these things, right? He could only see what he was assigned to. So that hopefully demonstrates that aspect of the tool. Again, same rules apply. There's a no, can't enter any of these things at the moment because I've not selected a particular project to dive into. So it doesn't know what deliverables to look at because I haven't selected a particular project. So I have to click on a project first or click into the edit a project button on the side here. So my administrative role, if we click on my name here, I can go into the admin. You also see that there's notifications. It's probably worth just mentioning notifications because it will get overlooked, but you can trigger emails to go out and remind people that, oh, do you know what, you haven't reviewed your risks, or that this set of risks haven't been reviewed, or actions haven't been looked at in a while, so they've gone over a threshold. You set thresholds, and if they breach that threshold, you can trigger an email and it automates that out to everybody that is required to see it. I like that we've got that trigger in there because it means it can feel a bit more organic, as opposed to, I seem to get one of these things every Monday morning because someone automated the tool. Now, that can be useful, but also people can get wise to it and stick it in a junk mail filter or whatever. And
then they miss the important. They miss the important notification. Yeah.
Yeah. So who's gonna get you out of that sticky situation? It's going to be a human. It's going to be a friendly risk manager that walks over and taps you on the shoulder and says, "Hey, can we talk about your lack of input here? What's the problem? Do you need training or whatever it might be?" Anyway, but it's worth just pointing that out there for the risks and again things. Now, behind the scenes, very quickly, we'll have a look at the admin. We've got various import tools to help you bring in risk registers and other sources of information. I think like users. So if you have a list of names, emails, you don't want to do it manually one by one. You can bring those in, bulk import users, global risk registers. So that's the kind of shopping list of generic risks that you think probably apply to multiple projects, lessons learned, that kind of thing. You want to probably bulk import those. Then the system attributes. So this is where all the categories start coming in. Risk breakdown structures. Everyone's going to have different company standards, company approaches. You can come up with your own definitions for all of these things. Organization. What does your hierarchy tree look like for sitting the projects, pinning the tail on the donkey? An example of the global risk register, which we're going to enhance. I'm going to talk more about that just right now. Project assessment, Dr. David Hilson. He's an author in the world of risk management. He's kindly allowed us to borrow his ATOM assessment of risk, which kind of looks at things like complexity of projects and things to help you ascertain how risky is the project before committing to doing the project. So kind of pre-risk management tool, like pre-project risk, before the project is being executed, just deciding whether or not you want to get in bed and do that project. It could be a key decision for your company. So when we're talking about portfolio management, which you kind of brought up terminologies earlier, you might want to have 9 absolutely steady, bread and butter, low complexity. This is just what we do all the time. This is our main and plain thing. And then you might have 1 basket case kind of project where it's like, do you know what? The customer, they've never done one before. In fact, they're inexperienced project managers themselves. They don't know what they want, but we can see an opportunity, risk reward, right? So you're thinking, what can I do to maximize my own company's returns on working on such a project without, screwing over the customer? Of course, we don't endorse that, but you might want to have something that could just be a bit more unpredictable because it could be potentially very profitable. So in a portfolio, in a basket of projects, one of them is your money maker. One of them's your potential money maker, but loss maker as well. So you don't know how it's going to go, but as long as the other 9 within the 10 are solid, predictable, and so forth.
Yeah.
So anyway, this kind of tool helps you identify those kinds of things. As you can see, though, I can add new criteria, which means everything you see in here is customizable. So it doesn't necessarily ship. It could be out like this. It could be a blank piece of paper, and you devise your own criteria. But this is a very good sort of starting point for anyone that's never seen one of these things before. Review warning. So this is where you set the triggers. So we talked about email triggers just like 5 minutes ago. This is where you would set up greater than, less than a number of days, it seems to be for many of these things, whether they're actions or risks, just to keep the process healthy. That's why we're doing it. So if you've got 10 people, it's easier to manage them 10 than it is 300 people. Trying to get consistent performance out of a very, very diverse group of people, some of them more comfortable with risk management principles than others. Some people are out on site and don't come in, but they might be assigned risks. So are they getting a chance to do risk management? Maybe they don't get enough time. You need to schedule it, put it in there, help them. It's a human that gets them out of sticky situations, not an AI. But anyway, that's all about process health, process hygiene. Evaluation levels. This is where you build your scoring systems, set the definitions, the criteria, the scaling, the prioritization, so you can customize which values go in each of these cells. You customize the colors used in each of these things, the threshold levels, impact scores. And in fact, let's just very briefly look at that. So in this case, a very low detail, 1 to 2 million, 1 to 5 days impact. So this is what you can see, the thinking, the logic behind these systems. Now, again, I'm not a huge fan of these kinds of scoring systems. I'd probably try and keep this stuff as simple as possible. But for the here and now, in the year 2024, they are a mainstay of risk management as expected by the big four auditing companies and the GRC lobby group. I don't know what you want to call it, but that whole mindset, which is audit driven, it's backside covering driven. I don't feel that has such a strong place, or it's not as inappropriate as a place in the world of project risk. I think project risk needs to be more about enablement of completing the projects than it is about putting the brakes on the project.